great opportunity for us to give you a little information about ourselves and also our philosophies and beliefs. I grew up in northern Arizona. I grew up on a small farm. I had the opportunity to have a paper out. So I learned early in life that the things we want, we actually have to work for to achieve. Some of the other things, I moved to Utah in 1973, lived in West Jordan for a year, and Sunset a couple of years. For the last 37 years that I've been in Syracuse. I can remember Syracuse when there was maybe 2,000 people. I remember the feeling that I had on those days. I would like to have that feeling back. Probably not possible like it was then, but we can make it better. A few other things about me: I set up my business in 1981, and I still have that business going. It is here in Syracuse. It's an insurance agency right on the main drag. Because of my experience in business, I learned that as people came through the door, they came through the problem. Everybody, whether it was, hey, help me solve my insurance problem, or maybe I don't have insurance, whatever it may be, they came in with a problem. I learned early that I needed to be a problem solver. And that's what I do best at. Even today, when someone came into my office, they had a problem, and I said, you know, if you were to do this and this, you will be able to get the results that you want. I'm able to see things where we want to be, and then I'm able to work it back and help solve that problem. I'm a graduate from the University of Arizona. I graduated in political science, so I'm doing what I should have been doing right from the very beginning. Also, I have a major in economics. I know how to balance the budget. I know how to make sure that I spend less than what I bring in, and that helps my business be very successful. I actually have maybe $1,000 in debt in my entire business. Wouldn't that be great if our city had only $1,000 in debt? So I plan on working on that 15 minutes and solving that problem. Thank you. My name is Terry Palmer. Vote for me.
I grew up here in Syracuse, and I live here with my wife Stephanie, and we have 3 children. My grandparents live here, and this is home. Serving on the city council is something that was always a goal. It never was really my goal to be mayor, but that's where things have led me, and I'll tell you just a little bit about that in a minute. As a career, I am an educator. I taught school for 15 years and just recently moved into administration. I'm an assistant principal in high school. The main reason that I decided to run for mayor is because I want to be a team builder. I want to get mayor, city council, staff, and citizens all working together better. There's a lot of good things that go on in our city, but there's some things that we can improve if we work as a team. Some of the things that I focus on, or that I'd like to focus on, are our finances. We'll talk about that with some of the questions today. Our parks, our roads, our trails, our water, all those things that we call infrastructure. They're important things for our citizens, and they need to be planned, and they need to be maintained, and we need to take care of them so that they're here for years and years to come. Public safety is another important thing, and another reason that I decided to run for mayor. We need to take care of our citizens through our police and our fire. And we have great departments, but they need to have the tools to do their job. And frankly, we lose a lot of firemen and police officers who train here and move to other cities. Sometimes that's about money, sometimes it's about other things. We need to make sure we retain our employees and treat them well. And they really are the lifeblood of our city. It's not the mayor the city council, although we provide vision, it's our employees that do the things that need to be done for you citizens. I hope to be able to talk about many things today as we answer questions, but I feel like I have a great vision for Syracuse as our mayor and experience on the council to back that up. So my name is Doug Peterson. Thank you.
A little bit about me. I've lived in Syracuse for about the last 5 to 6 years. I'm married to my wife Charlotte. We have 6.5 kids. And so my wife has been a real trooper during this campaign because she's struggling around with me, but she's been a real trooper. A little bit about me. I graduated from Brigham Young University with a bachelor's degree in English and political science with an emphasis in political philosophy. My major writing in political science, I wrote about Christianity and democracy and the interplay of Judeo-Christian ethics in promoting democracy and freedom in America. I then graduated, spent a couple of years in a different career, and returned to BYU, where I graduated from Brigham Young University's law school with honors. There I studied, and my major writing, which is equivalent to my dissertation, I wrote on constitutional principles of American government. So, what does that mean? It's somewhat esoteric, but what it means is I care. I understand principles of good government. I understand what it means to follow principles of the rule of law. That's something that I think even here in the state of Utah, and oftentimes in the city of Syracuse, we forget about. And so one of the reasons why I became involved in government, I really got involved a few years ago as I began to see that we were having some serious problems with people understanding how to function properly, how to disclose, and how to be fair and candid with other members of the government, and how we could better represent the people and understand the rule of law. And I became involved in that. I was appointed to the city council approximately a year and a half ago, where I took over Councilman Kimmel's position on the council after he resigned. So a little bit about me is I love what government means. And what government means is you get to be who you want to be. And this government and this city is about who you are. And so the reason why I'm on the city council now, and the reason why I'm running for city council again, is I believe we have to do better at promoting good government. And so I'm asking for your vote because I believe in limited government. I believe it's your government, and I believe it's something that you should dictate goes on in this city. And too often we forget that, and we allow other people to run our lives, and that's not what government's about in the city of Syracuse.
My name is Mike Daly. I was raised in Syracuse until I was a young teen, and my dad's desire his whole life was to build a home on the mountain east of us. And we moved into East Lakeland before it was incorporated into part of Lake City. I grew up there, served the mission for the LDS Church, returned here after pursuing a dental degree in 1982 and opened the first medical clinic here in Syracuse in 1982. Since that time, we've been here. I love this town. My memories, childhood memories about being here, I sat at this very spot, drank lemonade and read books, bookmobile in 1958. Different place than it is today. I served on the city council in 1988 to 1991, and since I've assumed the presses here, I've got something I've got to disclose so that it doesn't become an issue. On that city council one day, I was sitting next to Mayor Delore Thurgood, and we were in public hearing talking about secondary water, and the issue had been beat into the ground, and beat into the ground, and beat into the ground, and believe it or not, those that sit here sometimes get bored. And Delore Mayor Thurgood handed me a note, and he said, "I could have been your father." And I sent him a note back about 5 minutes later, and I said, "How so?" About 5 minutes went by, and he said, "I used to date your mother." About 20 minutes went by, and I slipped him a note, and I said, "Can I borrow $20, Dad?" I love this town, and I like the feelings that I had as a kid to come back as best I can. Don't think they're here. And I'm a peacemaker. I want to make peace. Thank you.
My name is Alan Lowry. I lived here in Syracuse about 7 years, a little over. I've got married to Carrie Boyd, who grew up in the Lake area. And I actually grew up in a little town up in the northwestern part of Montana called Whitefish. I've got 3 lovely daughters who go to school here in this community, and love to live here. Whitefish, Montana is a beautiful place. There's kind of about 5,000 people. Similar to Syracuse was originally. My grandmother and my grandfather lived in Layton on the west side here. My grandfather was one of the civil engineers that helped develop and excavate the runway of New Air Force Base. And so we spent all our summers here in Layton, visiting my grandparents and cousins out here in Syracuse. And baby started us out of the canal. One of the reasons that I moved to Syracuse was the small town area that it is, and the friendliness that was around the Syracuse area. Interestingly enough, we came to Syracuse 2 or 3 different times looking to at homes here. And one of the reasons that I've been in the government, I've got a experience working with the military for 8 years as a legal specialist in the jail. And I work currently for a trucking company in Salt Lake City for a gentleman named Jerry Boyce, who lived and grew up in Plant City. I'm the director of safety there. One of the things that I have to offer to the city council is that I believe that the government is up to people before the government is here to serve, not the way we do here to serve the government. And so the purpose for me wanting to serve here in the city council is to be able to listen to you folks and identify the things that I can do to help the city move back to what I can do thinking about it. My name is Alan Larry. I can help sure both of you.
Hi everybody, my name is Randy Miller and I've lived in Syracuse for about 12 years with my wife Andrea and our 3 lovely children. I'm a land surveyor and currently work for Schuler Air Force Base. In 1995, I joined the Utah Army National Guard as a enlisted man. And in 1999, I volunteered for Officer Candidate School. Looking back, it must have been a little crazy. But I survived and took a commission as a second lieutenant. I deployed to Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2004 as the company executive officer for the 116th Engineer Company out of Spanish Fork, Utah. Politically, the best description for me is anti-establishment. To say that I do not like political parties is an understatement, and I'm perfectly comfortable with that. George Washington, who was also a surveyor and an army officer, did not belong to a political party, and he warned that parties would tear at the fabric of our nation. He was right. In 2009, I served as the Davis County Coordinator for the Fair Boundaries Coalition to enact nonpartisan redistricting in Utah. In 2006, I formed the Utah League of Independent Voters, and we are organizing to replace the caucus and convention system with top 2 local primaries. I'm running for city council based on my anti-establishment roots. There is an establishment at Syracuse. I believe I would be more positive and point the city in a better direction. And as a land surveyor, I'm also familiar with urban planning professions and land development issues, and reasonable sources and solutions for those challenges. I'm Randy Miller, I'm committed to the city, and that's why I'm running for city council.
Speaking in front of the citizens of Syracuse. Actually, this seat I'm sitting is actually the same seat I use in the planning commission, so I'm pretty comfortable sitting up here right now. I see a lot of guys wearing ties. I didn't know some duty contest, or I would have stayed home, I think, probably today. Yeah. I was born in Utah, so I'm a Utah native, and I've been married 44 years. I have 5 children and 25 grandchildren, most of who live in Syracuse or around about here. My first experience leaving high school was I started my own business, and I was 19. I've been a business-oriented person ever since then. I've owned, operated, or managed over 10 major corporations. And so I understand budgets, I understand money, I understand how hard it is to make money, and it's even harder to hang on to the money, especially with the taxation systems that we have, and the demands on our individual freedoms and our families suck a lot of money out of us needlessly. So the reason I'm running for city council here in Syracuse is because I'm the only candidate that brings land use experience to council. And although we have some incumbents here that have been on the council, they don't have the experience I do in my past years working with other governments, and more currently the last 3.5 years serving in the Syracuse Planning Commission. So I have a lot more acute understanding of what land use needs to be here in Syracuse. And there's a lot of concerns. When we start off as a farm community, we're still considered a farm community. More importantly, we're family oriented.
The bonds out there right now are coming due. I voted mayor, I would do everything I could to get that money back to the citizens. I'm the average Joe. I'm not a politician. I've never been in politics. I'm a mechanic. I'm a auto technician. So I understand when the price is too high, I can't pay what it is. So I need that money back. And so with this bond that's coming up due, the money was promised back to us, saying, when this bond is due, we will give you back the money. There are others on the council who want to keep that money to put us into more debt and use that money for something else. That's not the city's money. That's our money. That's the citizens' money. That should come back to us. And if they want to raise their taxes, they need to bring it back to us and let us vote on it. That's our prerogative. That's our money. They just can't take it and say, hey, we're going to do this with it. We should say, yes, you can do this with it, or no, you can't do that with it. So I feel that the taxes are too high, and they need to be brought down, and that money needs to come back to us. Thank you.
Answer your question. First of all, let's look back at the Constitution, what James Madison said about the Constitution. He said that the federal government is limited in their powers. But then in the 10th Amendment, it says that those powers not given to the federal government are given to the states or the citizens. That means that you and I, as citizens, we do have the right to give up our freedom and give that to the city. I would tell you that I would be the wrong person to be mayor if you're willing to give up the city. However, there are things that the city government must do, and that is take care of the citizens. Security is top order for the city. I would be a very strong advocate for a police department, a very strong advocate for a fire department. I also understand that our houses need water. It's kind of nice to have our secondary system. I'm proud of our previous mayors who went out and set up one of the best secondary systems along the Wasatch Front. I'm thankful for the efforts that they did on that. I would be the last one to say, let's meter that water. Let's not meter that water. Let's be strong ourselves. Let's be good citizens that are willing to water our yards appropriately, and at the same time, do not give up our freedoms. My colleague here recently said that the closer you get to government, the more you want the government to do things for you. I say, let's kind of step back and let's let our citizens help us, and let's stay free. Prosperity comes through freedom. It does not come through slavery by government. So I would say, I want you to help me and be strong in serving the people here. I would love to have citizens communicating with me. I have the ability to spend more time at the city. Well, the employees may not like that idea, but I'm close to retirement, and I have good people running my business, so I have the ability to spend more time and listen to you and help solve the problems that the city has. It's strong on police, strong on fire, strong on utilities in the parks. I think the parks need to be improved so that we can utilize them for soccer, baseball, let our kids have a good time. Thank you.
I can tell you one I can rule out right from the start is I don't think that we would ever want to raise taxes. And I can back that up with, during my almost 6 years on the council, it has been talked about twice. The first time it came to a vote, and I voted against the tax raise. The second time we worked as a council to avoid that tax raise. So it's not too high, but what is important is that we as a council and mayor spend the tax dollars that we get wisely and carefully so that citizens have the things that Mr. Palmer's talked about, such as public safety, public works, parks, and so forth, that you want from a city. The opportunity to give back some tax money is an interesting proposition. I would love to be able to do that. And as Travis pointed out, when we pay down debt in the future, which is a goal of mine as well, that is a possibility. However, I do feel like we need to be responsible enough to take care of those services that I mentioned and make sure that we have enough police officers, enough fire protection, adequate park space, well-maintained roads, and so forth before we would ever reduce taxes. I can tell you, and this probably doesn't mean a lot to many people, but we are one of the lowest property taxed cities in our county. Now, that doesn't mean anything because it's dollars out of your pocket, but I can promise, as I've done for the time on the council, that we will take care of your money and spend it wisely. Thank you.
I feel that the businesses want to come in, the high industrial businesses, they should be limited to what is in the general plan already. Right there on 1,000, between 1,000 and power lines. It shouldn't go any farther than that. We're not Clearfield. If they want to bring something like that in, they can go to Freeport centers. They've got empty buildings. High density housing, again, we're not Clearfield. We're Syracuse. We have big lots. We don't have apartments. Why should we? We like to keep our property tax low. We like to keep our crime low. The higher the density, I'm sorry to say, you're going to get more crime. I don't want it. We're Syracuse. We're not Clearfield. I'm sorry to keep bringing it back to Clearfield. That's where I grew up. That's where I live. And I don't want to go back to Clearfield. I love living in Syracuse. And I would keep it that way.
A few more words to say. Anyway,
We're not Clearfield.
so where it comes to high density housing, this is where I really got involved in the city. We worked this over, 10, 15 years ago. We decided that these fourplexes built around 2,000, that was the extent of our fourplexes and our high density. It's coming back. So when it was mentioned that 600 units would go in over by the high school, I got fired up. And no way do I want to have those type of apartment buildings. All I got to do is drive on Angel Street, 1200 West, and Clearfield Lake, I think it's Layton, over by Sam's Club. Look at all those apartments that are going on. To me, I do not want that in Syracuse at all, and I will fight hard to make sure that doesn't happen. I would say, let them have that, Clearfield and Layton, and then we will be able to get the people in Syracuse that we want. That will be able to bring the quality of life that we would like to have here. I envision Syracuse as being an oasis, the place that people have a desire to come to. Now, when it comes to the industrial, I'm the one who got in the island there, talked about Ninegret and the 500 to 1,000 trucks coming into the city. I don't want that. I don't want heavy industrial coming into the city. I don't have any problem with businesses coming in. I have no problem with even some industrial coming in. But warehousing, distribution centers, I think that brings heavy truckloads. And when the West Davis corridor comes through, then we're sandwiched in between a lot of this. And that could be a problem. So I would fight that. But I will be honest with you, Ninegret in their plan over here, they've come a ways. A lot better than it was before, but not good enough yet. I believe that we as city council, city and mayor, that we can get them to come our direction. As long as we don't give in. And as Ronald Reagan said, we can govern with strength, and with strength we'll be able to accomplish the things that we need to do. Thank you.
For us to have some industrial planning or zoning and some multifamily housing or affordable housing within our city. Now, having said that, I think it's our job as mayor and council to make sure that that's wisely planned. By no means do we want something that looks like Fremont Center, or do we want smokestacks, or do we want industrial spread throughout the city. Me personally, I don't want big apartment complexes, but when you think of multifamily housing, you may drive out here tonight and look across the street at Walker Estates, duplexes where retired folks live. My grandmother lives there. Beautiful multifamily housing. We've got other fourplexes within the city. Those kind of things I think are appropriate for Syracuse. If it were not for apartments, a few apartments in Syracuse, I probably wouldn't be here. That's where my wife and I lived when we first got married, is in some of our apartments here in Syracuse. So there is a place for both and a requirement for both, but we must be wise in allowing in what we allow, and what we allow it to look like, and where we allow it to go. As far as the general plan goes, I'll just address that quickly. The general plan is an important document to our city. It's been put together by planning commissioners and council members and mayors in the past. The plan of what our city should look like and where things should be. And any changes to that need to be very, very carefully made. I'll give you an example. Last night, we made a small change in our general plan in our city council meeting. It was probably almost 2 years in the making, and that may seem a little bureaucratic, but a lot of things went into that. Input from the citizens and from developers. And I think we may have got it right after all of that. So, very careful planning is what is important for our city as we move forward with not only a possible industrial or family housing, but any kind of planning in our city. We want to have a beautiful place to live with a variety of businesses and living options for people. Thanks.
I can participate at the third top. To address Mr. Palmer's comment, I probably should say more on the questions, but that's not me. I'm to the point. I'm not articulate. I'm your average Joe, like I said before. You know, in 4 years, if I'm elected mayor, I'll do everything I can to keep the general plan the way it is. There's a reason why we have a general plan. There's a reason why I'm sure a lot of you look at that general plan. When you buy your house, what's going to go in across the street for me in 5-10 years? Is it going to be an industrial complex, or is it going to stay agricultural that's already there? In 4 years, I would love it to stay that way. There's a reason why we have it. There's a reason why we made it. And I would do everything I can to keep it that way. We have a bond coming up in 5 years. I would do everything I can to make sure that in 5 years when that bond's up, we get that money back to the citizens. These are all promises that were made to all you citizens before. I'm sure most of you moved in here, and it should stay that way, and I think we should keep it that way. And again, I'm Travis Jackson, and I love your vote. Thank you.
See Syracuse City in the newspaper once a week, or good stuff. I would do everything that I can to make sure that the businesses, all these vacant buildings over here are full. That we have businesses that are coming into this city that are willing to come in here and provide services for us as citizens. I would hope that you as citizens would patronize those businesses. I would have one person on staff that would spend 100% of their time talking to businesses about coming into this city. I believe that is the one item that we need a lot of. We need sales taxes coming in. I believe that it is important to have someone as mayor who can work with the 3 major legs of the stool, that has the ability to work with you as citizens, that can work with the businesses, the landlords within the city, to get the rents at a level that people can come in and rent and make a profit, and also work with the employees of the city. That stool does not work if you take any one of those legs out. It is very important that we recognize all three and work with them and be able to coordinate that equally. Over the last years in my own business, I've been able to work with my own employees. I think you could call up even any of my past employees. They would tell you that I was honest and forthright and true with them. At the same time, my clients, it's shown every year except for 1 year in 32 years, the business has continued to grow, even during the slump in 2007, 8, and 9. So I have the ability to work with the citizens, and I also have the ability to work with my competitors, the insurance people around me. I'm good friends with all of them. Now, I'm a peacemaker. I wouldn't say I'm a peacemaker, but I'm a person who's willing to coordinate all of those people in getting the work done that the city needs to do. Thank you.
There are politicians who want to leave a legacy, and that's not my intent. I don't need to build any sort of castle to myself. I've got that, my home and my family. That's my castle. What I would like to be able to do in the 4 years is to say we, and as I mentioned, I want to be a team builder. We as a team, citizens, staff, the governing body, we were fiscally responsible. We took care of our citizens. We took care of public safety. We collaborated. We compromised. We were honest. We did things together, and that's what I want is for us to do things together to make Syracuse better. So at the end of my time, that's what I hope I can say is that we did this. Thank you.
In fact, when I sat in government before, I maintain that the best form of government is municipal government because it is partisan. There is no partisan politics. There should be any part of municipal government. When I was on the council before, I watched as the council and the mayor worked together very well. And well, I'll tell you what, if our federal dollars should be spent as judiciously as they are in the municipal in the city, but I saw it in 1891. It opened my eyes to the kind of people that were, what happens when people work together well. So the mayor is the executive branch, and I think, in my opinion, and I think it's also part of our Constitution in the city, is that individual has some freedom to be able to select individuals that he or she feels are right for those positions, and then as a member of the city council, maybe seek counsel and consent for that, not be necessarily part of the process of the appointment. That rests with the executive branch. I do know that there are a lot of city employees that are not happy. You know that there are a lot of people in the city government that are not happy. Many of the reasons they're not happy does not have to do with the dollar. It has to do with the environment they're working in. And some, quite frankly, are running scared because of job protection and job security. I would appreciate a vote. My name is Mike Daly, and I'm a peacemaker.
And the council and city manager responsibilities go and appointing positions. I think that job primarily falls on the mayor and the department head. And Gary's point, advice and consent, that aspect should be part of the process, but not really an important part of the process. Just as a check and balance procedure. It's my understanding that the current arrangement here in Syracuse is kind of a hybrid situation. They changed it a number of years ago where the mayor, we had a strong mayor, we changed it to where we have a council mayor situation. I think there's a place for the council to advise consent, but for the most part, I think that they should be limited to that. They should not be micromanaging employees. If they have an issue with employees, they should go to the department manager, the department head, and say, hey, I have a concern, or bring it up in council meetings. That's all I'll say about that. As to the wage disparity there, we're losing employees. I think it could be a combination of wage and some mistreatment of people. I think some of the employees, in speaking with them, feel like they're being micromanaged, or maybe they have 7 bosses to answer to rather than just 1 or 2. And I think that's a problem. I think the way's heading them. And I think that's why they're leaving. And to many of these guys' points, we need to develop teamwork and respect for our employees. Is that my signal stop or one more there? Okay. I firmly believe that our employees are our single greatest resource. If we pay them a fair wage and provide them with a place to enjoy working, we'll stop losing. So anyway, that's all I have to say. My name is Travis Waller. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Revenue streams into the city come from 2 or 3 sources. If it's like water, that source can come from the mountains and flow down. But if we don't bring some revenue sources into the city that provide relief like water would, then we have no other option but as residents to go out and dig wells, and that water, which is now green and is now money, has to come out of our pockets. I think we need to be reasonable and realize that Syracuse needs development. We need the revenue that will come from that. We cannot, on our own, as residents, fund everything that will need to come into the city of Patent Grove. A master plan is written and should be reviewed every 3 to 5 years. It is not etched in stone. Otherwise, we would still have a pig farm in Syracuse, a sugar beet dump, and we would actually be taking our garbage to the dump down at the rodeo grounds. Our master plan has changed. Now, I want to commend that group of people that has been working with the development coming up in the Northeast Quadrant, because I think the process is working. Little by little, we're changing that to be something that is more harmonious with what we want to do in Syracuse. So thank you, those of you who have been involved in that. You have changed what was initially proposed to something that we can now deal with a little better. Thank you. Compromise is coming to common ground and making promises with one another. We can compromise path without compromising principle. I'm a peacemaker. I appreciate your vote.
The farming community, and unfortunately, a lot of the farmers that were out here that they sold the land they used to hunt on, and those pheasants and animals that land supported are gone now. Decisions have been made that I'm sure that there were farmers at some point in time that did not want to happen in the city, but it has. And as has been stated before, the most important thing is for us to plan and make sure that we identify what we as citizens want here in this community. I moved to Syracuse because there was no industry here. I moved to Syracuse because there was no high density housing. Those are the things that I found attractive about Syracuse, and the reasons that I felt my family would do well being raised here. I think that we need to abide by plans there. This has been brought up previously. If we're not consistent in the things that we do, then the plan is no longer effective, nor does it do what it needs to. And so we need to make sure that we're following the plan in the way that it's set up. Does that mean that we completely eliminate any type of planning going forward? No, it doesn't. We do need to be aware of what's happening in our community and make sure that we make plans based on that. But I think we can follow the plan the way we do right now. And I can see housing and industry in the
Contrarian view, or represent the contrarian view. The general plan is a general plan. It's not inviolate. We the people have the power and the duty to change it if it needs to be made better. A successful city provides housing and work opportunities for all kinds of people. Clearfield is not blighted because it has high-density housing and the Freeport Center. Layton is not blighted because of high-density housing. It's blighted because of poor urban planning. Adequate urban planning provides opportunities for many different kinds of people. Adequate urban planning also reduces crime because people live lives that are not economically stressed. I have a boy that's 15. Hopefully, in the next 6, 7, 8 years, he's going to leave home. Does he have an opportunity to work somewhere in Syracuse? To live somewhere in Syracuse? No. The way things are going, not really. We're going to have to shift them off somewhere. We're going to be family-oriented. We need to be family-oriented for the long term. Urban planning has an awful lot to do with that. Incidentally, I've seen Unigrid has 2 major proposals. One included light industrial, and the current one is largely built around housing. Well, I took a little peek at the general plan, and it's all commercial. That's not residential, it's not industrial. So they brought forth 2 plans that are both contrary to the general plan. Are we considering one, not the other? But it's still a change to the general plan, generally. I think we can have a discussion about it. I think we can be reasonable. I don't think we need to just always take the my way or the highway approach. No. I don't know what more to say on that. I mean, it's something that should be up for discussion. Thanks, Brandon.
Corner. Several points here. We do need to have some type of tax base other than residential. On the other hand, I do have some concerns. I currently reside close to the area. The question, however, my concerns are not around myself and my residents, rather that of the high school. Our children are going to be attending there. You guys will be attending there. Do we